Hey, it's your guy Tyrrell back with the interviews. In today's video, we're going to break down how Barcelona comfortably defeated Napoli to advance to the Champions League quarterfinal. When we break down the game and we do look at the board, we have Napoli in a 4-3-3 that eventually became a 4-5-1 out of possession as expected. And what we ended up seeing from Barcelona was that they did make a slight tactical tweak and they ended up operating in more of a 4-3-1-2 with Antoine Griezmann just tucked in behind Lionel Messi, who had a free roaming role, and Luis Suarez looking to occupy the two center backs. So when we break down this game, we're going to look at the few tactical themes that did influence the overall scoreline. So the first tactical theme that we'll discuss here is Barcelona out of possession, and that's a significant factor due to Barcelona's most recent exits in Europe. What we do see is that Messi and Luis Suarez aren't as two-track back, and that has been an issue for Barcelona. But what we ended up seeing here is that due to the fact that Barcelona didn't have natural width in their midfield, what they ended up doing was that they had Diego Demme being marked out of the game by Griezmann, and that's when you would see Sergio Roberto and Frankie de Jong step out into the path of Fabian Ruiz and Zielinski. Rakitic served as a spare man in that midfield zone, providing cover for those shuttlers when they were asked to shift out into the wider areas. Because Napoli weren't playing with a natural number 10, Rakitic did have that free role ahead of that back four. So for instance, if you had Frankie de Jong stepping out into the path of Di Lorenzo, then you would see Rakitic step out to the midfield shuttler in Zielinski or Fabian Ruiz, and vice versa. If you ended up seeing Sergio Roberto step out into the path of Mario Rui, then what you would have is Rakitic pushing forward to step out into the path of Zielinski. So out in the wider areas, the key for Barcelona was to ensure that Insigne couldn't get into 1v1 situations against Nelson Semedo, and to prevent overloads from the forward movement of Di Lorenzo and Mario Rui. So it was significant that Sergio Roberto and Frankie de Jong did get across the pitch, and it was also key that Rakitic stepped forward to provide cover along with the work rate of Griezmann to ensure that Diego Demme couldn't dictate the tempo of the game from deeper positions. And there were even moments in that opening half where you ended up seeing Zielinski and Fabian Ruiz looking to overload either the right or the left side of the pitch. But Barcelona coped with that threat well by having the center backs get involved to ensure that it was 4v4 in that zone. Ultimately, the only real concern that Napoli posed towards Barcelona's backline saw was that Koulibaly and Manolas were able to step forward because Suarez and Messi weren't looking to press them, and they were looking to play long balls over the top of Semedo and Quique to try and find Insigne and Mertens drifting in beyond that back line. There was one example in particular where you had Koulibaly stepping forward and looking to split Messi and Griezmann, who was occupying Demme. But even when he found Fabian Ruiz in that midfield zone, he was quickly swarmed by the Barcelona midfield. Meanwhile, when we look to Napoli out of possession, they dropped off into a 4-5-1, and the midfield battle should have been easily established if they had Mertens sitting on Rakitic and then have Fabian Ruiz and Zielinski closing out Sergio Roberto and Frankie de Jong, while Demme tracks the movement of Griezmann. There were times where we did see them press from the front with one of the shuttlers stepping out in towards the Barcelona center backs, and if they were pressing forward as a unit, then that's when you would see Diego Demme stepping into the path of Rakitic. However, the manner in which they looked to ensure that Barcelona couldn't play through that midfield zone witnessed Mertens stepping towards a center back, and if you had, let's say, Zielinski stepping out into the path of Quique, then you would end up seeing Insigne dropping off towards Sergio Roberto to ensure that he can't get on the ball. And the same thing would be witnessed on the opposite side. If you had Mertens stepping into the path of Quique, you would see Fabian Ruiz step out into the path of Lenglet, and then Clement dropping off deeper to close down Frankie de Jong. So with Napoli looking to ensure that Barcelona's midfield couldn't play through those central zones, that leaves space out in the wider areas for Jordi Alba and Nelson Semedo to push forward. Barcelona looked to play through that left-hand side by quickly switching balls out to Jordi Alba, which does eventually pull out Clement and allows Frankie de Jong to push forward. However, Napoli did a very good job of ensuring that Di Lorenzo stepped forward in towards his path, and then if any other movement was played down in those wider areas, Manolas would deal with it. So they ensured that Frankie de Jong couldn't have an impact higher up the pitch, whereas when you look to Sergio Roberto, he adopted deeper positions positions due to the advanced movement of Nelson Semedo and given the fact that Messi was drifting infield. So given Napoli's pressing and their shape out of possession, you had to question how Barcelona would be able to create chances. And that stemmed through Antoine Griezmann shifting away from Diego Demme to get the ball in key positions. And when you break down some of Barcelona's best moves in that opening half where they won the game, Antoine Griezmann was involved. When we look to one example, Jordi Alba plays a quick first-time ball across Callejón into the path of Griezmann shifting away from Diego Demme. He holds off the challenge and he ends up playing the pass across Zielinski into the path of Lionel Messi, but Messi is unable to return the favor to Griezmann and Koulibaly clears those lines. If you look to the build-up to the corner kick that resulted in Barcelona's opening goal, you have Sergio Roberto squaring the ball across Zielinski into the path of Rakitic, and he's able to split Demme and Fabian Ruiz to find Griezmann between the lines. Griezmann instantly slides the ball out to Jordi Alba pushing beyond Callejón, and Jordi Alba's cross from that left channel places Luis Suarez and Lionel Messi into a goal-scoring position that leads to the corner kick. Next, we'll look to an example of Barcelona bypassing that Napoli press through Griezmann's movement. Alba wraps the ball around Callejón for Griezmann dropping off deeper into his own half, and he's able to hold off the challenge of Diego Demme, drop the ball off to Lionel Messi, who evades the challenges of Rui and Demme, and drops the ball back to Griezmann, who switches play out to Nelson Semedo to push forward down that right channel. We can look to another example where you have Quique being pressed by Insigne, and he ends up clipping a long ball into the path of Griezmann, dropping off Diego Demme, and he's able to hold them off and then also hold off pressure from Manolas looking to win the ball, and he nods the ball into the path of Rakitic, who helps Barcelona push forward by sliding the ball out to Frenkie de Jong. And if you want instant movement in and around the box, his run that took out Manolas and Mario Rui allowed Jordi Alba to play a pullback beyond Di Lorenzo for Luis Suarez to side foot an effort on goal that Ospina pushed away. And even from a defensive aspect, we witnessed Griezmann in that number 10 role showcase the tactical discipline required to ensure that Diego Demme couldn't dictate the tempo of the game from deeper positions. When you look at that Barcelona midfield, you have Diego Demme ahead of Sergio Roberto with Zielinski just in behind him, and Rakitic is looking to pinch across just in case the ball is shifted out into that zone. So Koulibaly slides the ball across Griezmann into the path of Di Lorenzo, and what you end up seeing there is that you have Fabian Ruiz looking to run off De Jong to go into the path of Lenglet. But as De Jong looks to call off Fabian Ruiz to Lenglet, Fabian Ruiz holds his run, and that could lead to a 2v1 situation if Griezmann doesn't shift over. Luckily for Barcelona, Griezmann reads it well and he does shift over into the path of Di Lorenzo. So when the ball is played out to Fabian Ruiz, it allows him to get into a 1v1 with De Jong rather than a 2v1. And De Jong is able to poke that ball away from Fabian Ruiz and ultimately win a Barcelona throw-in. So as you can see, this was all-round greatness from Antoine Griezmann in a blunt Barcelona attack, and he was involved in a lot of their key moves, and that was only the plays that he was able to get onto the ball. We can easily look at times where he made an in-and-out run beyond Mario Rui to try and get onto a PK long ball, but PK's pass was short, or even the time where he looks to dart across the center backs when Semedo has the ball ahead of Mario Rui, but Semedo doesn't look to play that penetrative pass beyond the Napoli backline. You could look to Suarez receiving the ball ahead of Manolas and looking to clip it over Koulibaly for Griezmann darting between Koulibaly and Mario Rui, but the Napoli center back cleared those lines. And the only real time that you can blame Griezmann for not maximizing his ability to get into good space is when Suarez received the ball between the lines from Lionel Messi, and you ended up seeing Griezmann make an intelligent run between Di Lorenzo and Manolas, and when Suarez picked him out in left half space, his first touch let him down. And when he was on the ball, there was a time where you ended up seeing Griezmann shift away from Diego Demme to receive the ball from Jordi Alba, who was closed down by Zielinski and Callejón. And once Griezmann receives the ball, he looks to instantly split Callejón and Zielinski to play a quick 1-2 with Frenkie de Jong backed into Di Lorenzo. And as Griezmann completes that pass and looks to run beyond those two midfielders, it was de Jong's short pass that ultimately killed the play. So even when we look to the second half, following Lobotka replacing Demme, there wasn't much of a a tactical shift in this game. We ended up seeing Napoli look to press higher up the pitch to close down Barcelona, but Barca were able to easily bypass that press by finding Frankie de Jong or Griezmann dropping off into deeper pockets of space to receive the ball. You had Griezmann drifting into space beyond Mario Rui to help Barcelona push higher up the pitch. He was dropping off into those midfield gaps to help Barcelona bypass that Napoli press, whether it be between Lobotka and Fabian Ruiz, Lobotka and Callejon, or Fabian Ruiz and Mertens. And he was getting Luis Suarez and Lionel Messi into good attacking positions, but they were failing to maximize Griezmann's ability to pick them out. So as you can see, Barcelona comfortably saw out the second half by consistently bypassing that Napoli press. And although they did experience a nervy final 10 minutes, this game was won at halftime. Although Griezmann wasn't involved in the goals, he played a key role here by finding space in and around Deme to link play, help Barcelona bypass their press, ensuring that Suarez and Messi could get into good positions, and his tactical discipline on Deme played a key role in Barcelona ensuring that Napoli couldn't dominate that midfield zone. Hi everybody, thanks for watching and subscribe here for your latest tactical analysis and daily commentary on the InnerViews show. And if that wasn't enough, don't forget you could find more organic, unfiltered soccer/football analysis on the InnerViews podcast, the best soccer/football podcast in the world, available on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and any Android apps on your Android devices.